let's get into the guests and the guest introductions.
Yep.
And what I want to briefly say about that is I have three things. One, that has been a strategy since like the
All of
eight
them been
that
doing that.
since the 80s. It's a
Yes.
it is a new thing in one sense, but it's an old thing in another.
Hmm.
But they've all done it in our lifetime. That's all
Yeah.
that's important. So I don't have a problem with that, but it's getting a little too mushy.
Yep.
So that's my first point.
Yep.
With that said, this goes back to people think that he was all over the place, but this was a very strategic speech. This what I started in the beginning. Every single person that he introduced was also connected to an 80-20 issue.
Yep.
And it made the Democrats look visually like a piece of boop
Yep.
for not standing up.
Yep.
I
Yeah.
call I
That
call
was my
this
point.
I call this the make a wish theory.
Yes.
And
Yes.
and I'm using this because I have had interactions with the Make a Wish Foundation 3 times. And you want me to tell you why the Make a Wish Foundation is so successful versus other charities? It's very easy for them to get yeses. So let's
Yep.
say you had a son, Mike, and your
Hmm.
son had cancer and they came to him, and I'm not going by what I think. I know how the process goes.
Yep.
They literally have almost like a counselor that works with you and tells you, no, don't hold back on what your wish is. Whatever your wish is, we gonna try and make it possible.
Yep.
Then they are able to go to people and say, hey, he always wanted to meet you. And half the time they're like, oh, okay, fine. And then they're like, well, he doesn't just have to meet me. He can come to the game and we'll do this. And, I'm with Nike and I'm sure I can talk. People generally, that's like the common denominator amongst humanity is
Exactly.
the infirmed child
Yep.
gets anything they want. We hold back all feelings and all emotions, and we curtail them and we shape them for the happiness of the child. They
Yes.
they broke a very basic, general, moral, and ethical thing by what they did. Specifically, I'm referring to, and they did it more than once, but the one that was the tearjerker that hit me emotionally was the cancer guy, the DJ.
Yeah.
They
Yep.
call him DJ.
DJ. Yep.
I'm never excited about a kid that's excited to go to war or law enforcement, but I get it. I was a kid. I know the thought process.
Hmm. Yep.
And so that's the only thing that I could see a person having some kind of issue with. But you go to the make a wish rule. Well, I feel this way. I don't want him to be part of this or this, that, and the other, but he's dying. What the
Right.
fuck?
When that's the part. It just goes back to who the shit is running that party. They make just horrible decisions. And to all my friends out there that are Democrat leaning left people, you got to do better. You got to do better. Otherwise, you're looking at another term for Trump or another somebody like Trump, or this is going to go on forever because you guys are on the 20%. You're on the 20% wagon.
Bro, I just I have I always tell you I used to play ball. I was pretty good at it. I remember one of the places that I used to go play ball where this is where the ballers used to go on Lakeshore Drive, right? And in Chicago, some of the guys, actually, a lot of the guys who are really good basketball players in Chicago are related to a gang or they're a drug dealer. This is just a fact. And so they may have issues with each other, right?
Yep.
That go beyond basketball and rivalry. And I have literally seen where a big time gang member is at the basketball court, and everybody knows that this other guy is after him, right? But he's there with his son. And I've literally seen, I'm telling you what something that's actually happened. They ended up playing on the same team, winning like 6 games in a row and smoking weed on the sideline after. And they still had the same beef. And they actually fought it out. But they didn't do it that day when the son was there.
Well, it's the same. It's mob mentality, right? It's the same as there's
that's why I kind of picked something that. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
It's just like I picked drug dealers and stuff like that to make the point that it's kind of like a universal thing. Oh no, that's the kid.
Exactly. Don't do it in front of the kid.
Right.
That's what mortified me, to be honest, and I'm a little surprised there hasn't been more discussion about it.
And just think about it. If they had got up and clapped, there would be nothing to talk about.
Nothing to talk about.
And they could have gotten away.
And that doesn't mean they support Trump.
Right. But what I'm saying is they could have got away with clap for that one. Don't clap for none of the other stuff.
Exactly.
Oh, my God. You would have made your point. And them signs, they look like children.
They looked like children. And to be honest with you, that was Trump's. He was on. That was his best speech that he's done. Best State of the Union speech he's done.
They are falling into the trap. They're digging the trap themselves and then jumping in afterwards and then putting the dirt on top of themselves. It's crazy.
As I said, they lost. Trump didn't win the election. They lost it.
With the signs and everything, a liberal person who is still liberal told me that he was disappointed, and I'm going to use what he said. He said, it reminded me when I was in school, in college, and walking through the campus, you'd have all of these weirdos and freaks fighting for different things, and they'd have their little signs. That's what they looked like. And the reason why I'm making that point is that's what's disgusting people right now. They don't want that liberal, do whatever you want, everything is moral image that they go for. Nobody wants that.
See, the problem is, Phil, the people that already are in agreement with it and support it there's nothing wrong with it. The sign, him protesting, we all agree. Trump's an asshole. He's an orange monster. He's a rapist and a thug, blah, 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 blah. That's great. You're not convincing anybody new of this is the problem. And the number that support this is getting smaller.